What we're going to do next is connect our microcontroller's power terminals, power pins, to the power source. Before doing any kind of wiring, while you're doing your wiring, you have to make sure that your power supply is turned off. The display should be off and before you do any wiring. What I will do next is take my negative side of my power supply, the black wire, and plug it into one of these rows on the very top. On this particular breadboard, the entire row where this black wire is plugged into is internally connected. I will repeat the same with the positive side of the power supply. And once again, the entire row where I plugged in my positive side of the power supply is internally connected, bridged. What that means is that power will flow through these two rows and up to this point, and as you can see from this point on, I jump that power over to this column. Just like the strip on top, this column too, that entire column is internally connected. These board long connections are actually distributed all over the place in my breadboard. As you can see, there's this strip right there, there's this strip here, this strip here, and so on. These strips are very important because they allow you to get your main connections, such as power, distributed all over the board. And in this case, what I have done is I have actually created a plus and a minus power rail in this area as well as in this area. And this is very convenient because now I have power available to me nearby no matter where I go, here, here, or here. So by very little wiring, I can get power close to most components, most areas of my breadboard. Keep in mind that you might choose to do a different wiring scheme. You just need to make sure that it's consistent with the layout of your breadboard. So next thing I will do is, according to the diagram, I will identify pins number 30 and 31 on the chip, and I will use wires, short pieces of wires, to connect these to my power rails on the breadboard. So in this case, pin number 30, I will take this capacitor out. Pin number 30 is the positive terminal, and as you can see, I've used a red piece of wire to remind me that this is positive, plus 5 volts, and I've jumped that over to my plus rail.
How did you know that was pin number 30?
There are two ways. One is knowing that this chip here has 40 pins total. You can start counting from pin number 1. Pin number 1 is always designated with a little dot next to it. Another way to tell it is that it's the nearest pin on the left hand side to this little kind of symbol on top of the chip. If you were to look at the drawing, you see that as well. You see that there is some indicator to tell us where the top of the chip is. And the pin to its left, the nearest pin to its left, is pin number 1. So I can count 1, 2, 3, and so on. When you reach the end, you start counting from the bottom and up. So knowing that this chip has 40 pins, this pin right there will be 1. You count all the way down to pin number 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Looking at my diagram, 30 tells me that that is plus 5 volts. 31 is right next to it. once I have a frame of reference, if I know that this is pin 30, then I know the one next to it is 31. I jump that over using a black piece of wire. Again, the color of the wire is not significant from an electrical point of view. It's there to just remind us very quickly that black is negative, red is positive. I jump that over to my negative rail, power rail, which if you follow will go all the way up to this horizontal power rail, to the black wire, to my power supply.
And we almost always use black for negative, red for positive, right?
That is the common color scheme that electrical engineers use typically in circuits, and we like to stick to what's common. Okay. Now I repeat the same exercise on the other side. This side is a little bit more, it's busier because there's some additional wiring. I will take this out. We will get to that in a little bit. But the same logic applies. I have jumped from my horizontal power rail to another set of vertical power rails. So there's black, negative, red, positive, and these carry the voltage all the way down. But at some point in the middle, at just the right point, I cross over to connect to the plus and the minus pins of the AVR. On this schematic, you see that I need to get plus 5 volts to pin 10 and ground to pin 11. If you were to count, you would count down 1, 2, 3, etc. up to 10, and that will be your plus 5 volts, and then the one next to it will be 11, your ground.